Hi, I'm Glenn Rose from Green Key Studio, and in this video we're going to show you how to use our Blackmagic production camera. Now this comes with our camera kit hire, along with the Atomos Shogun and the Datacolor Spider Checker, as well as our lenses. Be sure to check out the videos on how to use these devices, as well as what comes in the kits. Now the Blackmagic 4K production camera is great for recording on our green screen, as it records to minimally compressed ProRes codecs or uncompressed RAW. Now both of these codecs allow chroma key software to more easily cut out the green without leaving large halos or blocky edges. This is often a problem on DSLRs and even some professional video cameras that record to a heavily compressed codec. The Blackmagic camera can record in both 4K or high definition, depending on the needs of your project. We will dive into these technical specs later on, so now let's turn our attention to the camera's exterior. Our Blackmagic production camera includes a 48GB solid state drive. On the left hand side, you'll notice some ports. This includes an SDI out for monitoring, this goes to our Shogun, and a power adapter, because the battery life on this unit is a bit short. Now, to power this on, you press and hold the power button. You notice several buttons down here. First, you have record. Then you have previous, which also operates the aperture. So this makes it darker. Stop does nothing unless you're in playback mode. Play goes to playback mode, in which these controls make sense. The next, or the right arrow, if you press that will brighten up the clip. The easiest way to know how to brighten or darken is to refer to the histogram here. So if you press the left arrow, it darkens. Press the right arrow, it brightens. Now over here you have the iris button. If you press that, it will attempt to auto brighten the scene. Over here you have focus. If you double tap that, it will turn peaking on and off. If you single press it, if you have an autofocus lens, it will attempt to focus automatically. At the top, it will say ready. If you're recording, this will turn to record. There's time code, the codec you're using, in this case ProRes HQ, the resolution and frame rate, in this case HD 25 frames per second, and your aperture, ISO, shutter angle, and white balance, as well as the battery meter. In this case we're using DC, so it's always going to be at 100%. Down here you have the histogram, as well as the time remaining. You'll notice that it says 5 hours and 6 minutes. This is directly related to what codec you're filming on, and the frame rate and resolution. Over here you have some audio meters if you want to monitor the audio levels. Now if you single tap the screen, this will bring up a metadata dialog, so feel free to add any information. This only shows up in Final Cut X. If you double tap, it will zoom in to help with your focus. You can slide the meters down the bottom out of the way. If you hit the menu button, you'll be presented with these options to go to similar items which we just covered. So you can go to metadata, you can turn focus peaking on and off, show the meters, which is what we slid down the bottom, or turn frame guides on and off. Most importantly, you can format your disk. So if you hit format, I would generally recommend exFAT, because this is compatible with both Windows and Macintosh computers. Once formatting is done, hit done. Now, we also have settings. There is multiple tabs in the settings. This is where you'll be adjusting a lot of the important information, such as ISO, white balance, and shutter angle. The camera's dynamic range works best at ISO 400, but you can drop it down to 200 or bump it up to 800 as necessary. But for green screen work, you're probably going to be wanting to stick to 200 or 400. The white balance on this camera has to be manually set, and to do this we use the Atomos Shogun to help, which we'll demonstrate in the video with the Datacolor Spider Checker. And down here you have the shutter angle. This controls the shutter speed. So if it's at 360 degrees, this means it's exposing for the full frame. So if you're filming 25 frames per second, it will expose for a 25th of a second. If it's 180, it'll expose for a 50th. If it's 90, 100th, etc. So when you're doing green screen work, you don't want it that slow. So 180 is fine if you're doing not much motion, but if you're gonna be doing a lot of high moving shots, we'd recommend 90. Coming over here, you got the audio level. Don't worry about this. The only one I'd recommend adjusting is the microphone input, just to help with sync. So if it is blowing out, just bring it down, or if it's really soft, I'd pump it up. So in the recording menu, you have your codec of choice: ProRes HQ, 422, LT, Proxy, or RAW. So RAW only records at 4K. ProRes can record in either ultra high definition or high definition. The dynamic range is asking whether you want to record in video mode, so Rec 709, film mode, alternatively known as log mode in other cameras. For studio work, we recommend filming in video, as it's a controlled lighting environment, so you can dial it in. That said, film is also fine as well, just depending on your post-production workflow. Frame rate, in this case, is 25 frames per second. Now this camera can't film in slow motion, but you can record at 29.97, 30 frames per second, 23.98, or 24 frames per second. So 25 or 24 is probably going to be what you're generally after. Time-lapse, you can film every couple of frames or a whole bunch. So if you are having weird experiences of time-lapse footage when you play back, just make sure the time-lapse interval is turned off. Now, if you go into the display, dynamic range actually refers to what you see in the display. So if your dynamic range recording is set to film, and you go to display, you can either view it in video mode to help with seeing the final result, or what it's actually recording in film mode. So video mode is recommended. You can also adjust the brightness of the monitor, turn the zebras on or off, set the zebra level, set the SDI mode, so it can be 4K if you're recording in 4K. Choose between HD or 4K. Down here you have the frame guides. By default it's set to HD TV, which means you're seeing the full image, like so. Now if you change the frame guides to a different guide, so such as 4:3, we'll get black bars. You can also view it in CineScope, so you can kind of frame up to that. Now I can make these guidelines semi-opaque, so you can see the footage below, like so. And you can also look at thirds. So LCD overlays turns the frame guides on and off. And SDI overlays, you can choose what you're outputting on the SDI cable. So by default it's off, but you can change it to display the status, the guides, or both. And just one last thing, if you have a really high powered light source and it's pointing out the Blackmagic, it will generate a black spot. We'll be showing you ways to fix this in post. So that's the Blackmagic 4K production camera. Now be sure to check out our other tutorials such as the Atomos Shogun, which is a monitor that enhances the Blackmagic's capabilities. It also comes with the Datacolor Spider Checker, which we use to white balance. So check those videos out. I'm Glenn Rose and I'll see you soon.